good afternoon, good day, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. I have with me today the one and only Mr. Brian Staveley.
It's happening.
Reality. Welcome, sir. Welcome. I think this is the first time, isn't it, that we've ever done a...
No.
No, we did one on... was it on your channel?
We've done at least 2 shows together. I was on with you, just me and you, probably your old channel. And I was on with you and Roxanne, I think, another time. And you were on my channel, for sure. We talked about the men.
That was a while ago then, wasn't it?
That was a while.
That was a couple of years ago. Crikey. Yeah, so yeah. Brian, I mean, everybody knows, pretty much everybody knows. I think everybody in my chat room knows. I'm just going to... Well, we've got 22 people watching right at the start, man. That's a record for me. I thank you very much, Brian. That's down to you, that is, sir. I'm just going to go into the chat room quickly.
What are you on? You're on 2 channels? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, I'm on 007 and the Magic Treehouse. I was gonna stream to Twitch. But because my Magic Treehouse is back up and I can stream there, I'm streaming to that. So I think a lot of the people that we've got in the chat room have come from your... Maybe come because there's names here that I'm not recognizing. Well, I recognize Anne. So you got Tinfoil Hatter, Sherry Ives, welcome guys. Mustang, TW. Hey TW, thanks for coming back, babe. Philip Backer, Jolly Man, good to see you, mate. Jolly Man was on earlier. Ann Gaynor, Boston Guy, old Uncle Aha. Haven't seen you in a while, man. Who are we? Tommy Tell the Truth, Siren Offspring, Ida Hat, Kate Emma, Voynich, Mr. Freeze. Yeah, we got a good chat room going there, man. We got 32 people in now. This is pretty good for me, dude. I'm grateful, mate. You're a popular guy. So, Brian, I'm gonna let you speak. How you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good, man. You know, considering a lot of people are stressed out with what things that are going on in the world and stuff. I'm kind of in my I'm surrounded by a lot of good people too that are awake to these things, obviously. So I get to have much different conversation around the clock with people. So I'm doing pretty good, man.
Yeah. You're looking, I'll tell you, I've got to say, you're looking really chilled, and that's the energy. The energy I'm getting off you is much more relaxed than it was 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, probably. I feel I'm growing more along my journey, and focusing my energy on where it needs to be more and more, and that gets refined every year. It seems like,
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, it's and as we connect more dots and we increase our informational field, it becomes less. Everything just becomes less shocking. It's like we'll take it in your stride a lot more, can't you? It's you seem to have I feel like I have the time to sit and look at something properly. I don't feel rushed with everything that's going on. I don't feel rushed at all. Even things are pretty peak, man, and I should be feeling that. I should be, well, I shouldn't, but the system wants me to feel anxious, stressed out.
Exactly. That's it. Yeah. They want you to be anxious, stressed out. They want you to be angry. And really, they don't normally care what side of the conversation you fall on. It's just got to, whether it's left or right or red or blue or A or B, as long as you're not, making your own choices, thinking critically and coming somewhere in the middle, They want you to have polarizing views off everything and give all your energy to that system. The more years that go by, so it's been like, this is like year number 13 for me, like looking into things and on my own and, doing shows and all that, doing it a long time before YouTube. I was doing podcasts, and more and more, especially over the last like 5 years or so, right? So you come 2014, 2015, and you know the fakery is just off the charts. We've already looked through 9/11, and
I'm really sorry, dude. Somebody's just knocked on my door.
oh yeah, 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 yeah.
You keep talking. I can hear you. Keep
Go
talking.
ahead. Yeah, go ahead. I'll wait a second. I'll just take a look through the chat. Oh, I don't have the other chat open. That's what I should do. See who's over on the Magic Treehouse while he checks his door real quick, but then we'll stop back over. I see JP over there, John Paul Jordan, TW, Hugh Ori, Alunko Uha, Sheree Ives, Jolly Man. Thank you guys all for coming. Appreciate it. A couple names over there. I don't know. Here he comes right now.
It's my landlord asking for money again.
Oh boy.
Just had to give him what I had.
So I just said hi to the other chat real quick. But what I was saying is the more and more through the journey, and you see the lies and the deception and the fakery, and honestly, like, you could spend all day, every day going down endless lies because it's all a lie. The whole construct is a lie. From the governments to the space programs to the history to the media to the money. I mean, we could go to the medical, and we'll stay away from that for now, but you could go on and on and on and on and on. Yeah. You have to I don't know, because it's maybe it's unique for me because I'm so into what people call the Mandela effect, the changes in this reality. It's showing me the supernatural aspects of this realm. Mm-hmm. It's showing me a deeper meaning of reality. So that's why that has helped me probably come to where I am right now, honestly, to be more at peace, not anxious, and not bogged down by all the lies and deception so much, because ultimately this whole reality is a freaking lie. And also on my journey lately, in the last year and a half, more so than ever, I've been having lots and lots and lots of synchronicities that are really direct communication from God, is how I look at it, to be frank. I look at it as direct communication from God to tell me that, yes, you are on the right path here. And there's a lot of people that are upset with me because I don't, cover the fake events and all that every more. If you focus on all the fakery, all the time, and all the deception. Now, first off, I'm not trying to minimize that part of anybody's journey, because we all have to go through that. Okay. But when you get to a certain point, it's like, how much of your energy every day are you going to give to everything that you know is a lie? Because without going all in on all these topics, because we're on YouTube, everything I've ever looked at as far as these big deceptions, it was a complete deception, as in literally just like a movie script with actors and green screens and fake this and fake that, right? All of it, all the way down to its core. Not one of the things has been legitimate yet. So now I'm always going to go back to these things to work on opening people's eyes to it, especially like 9/11 and what's been going on in the last 3 years, because even though my point right now is on a different path, I let go of the fear 13 years ago. Once I came to the conclusions that I did on that day in September, right? I completely let go of all the fear. And that's a very important message that I'll always try and teach people and go back to these things. But for me, it's more about like realizing the deception and deceit, knowing where to focus your energy, but you got to have a balance and enjoy your life too.
Yeah.
And that's what, and I'm not talking about, going back into the matrix and being at a nightclub or, all this shit. I'm meeting up with truthers every month, 25, 30 people at my meetups, 400 people at Karen's events. And you're around people with a good energy that don't.
I mean, that's amazing, man. That's amazing. That getting that many people together is amazing. That's a brilliant, achievement, because that sort of thing wasn't really happening 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Think how far creators on the on YouTube, and it's principally YouTube, isn't it? But truthers, people that are trying to divulge information, open people's eyes up to things for such a long time, we're kind of on their own. sat there on their own talking, and the chat room would get involved. I just remember what it used to be like with Unirock. So we had the Uni fam. Everybody got in the chat room. It was just like chat rooms now. It was just like chat rooms now. But what you didn't have back then was the opportunity to stick a link in. I could stick a link in now, and anybody that's in the chat could come in. Come on the panel and say that. You didn't have that 10 years ago. It's really helped us to connect with each other. Things like StreamYard and Restream have really helped us to move forward with that, with getting things organized, I think, and create, organizing these meetups and stuff where people are actually meeting face to face. And, we can feel each other's energy online, but it's completely different when you're stood in front of somebody.
It's completely different, and you're in a good area yourself, just like I am. As far as there's a lot of people around you that you can meet up with that like in your circle, right? Or are you not so close to people geographically? I thought you kind of were. No,
mate, no.
Oh,
Do you know? I think he's in now. Huawei is in the chat. Huawei lives about 30 minutes away from me, and
okay.
it just happened. Like I found out that he was in Tenerife, and I was like, no way. Like, whereabouts? Oh, you're about 30 minutes away. So we've met in person, but I haven't met anyone else. I've never
Oh,
ever met Roxanne, man. Like, me and
yeah,
Roxanne are best friends. We talk
yeah.
all the time, but I've never met her in person.
Oh,
So
wow.
I've watched all the meetups. I've been there online during the meetups. The meetup, the Flat Earth tour, both Flat Earth tours, the meetups that happen around them. I was there online, but I've never met anybody. So yeah,
Oh,
I'm a
you
bit
gotta
jealous.
you gotta get out. You gotta get out and get that done, my man. It's when you have the means to do it, because it really recharge your soul for like a good while, like a good few weeks or a month. And it's like the good old days, like when you didn't know, like before you were awake, right? And you were normie, and everybody, you could all talk about the same things. Well, now you don't want to go back to that. I'm not saying take the blue pill or whatever, but you want to be around a bunch of people that are just like they're into what you're into.
Well,
It's great.
you talk about this. You talk about the same things. It's just different things that you're talking about, or
Yeah,
you talk about the same things, and it's the same things that you talked about before, but this time, what you're
completely
saying,
different.
what you're saying is different. It's like, oh, you remember when we used to do this? Do you remember when we used to do that? And it was like, oh god, yeah, man.
Dude,
How
Facebook
program?
is good for that. The Facebook memories pops up, and I get one
Yeah,
that pops up yesterday. I get two of them that pop up. They're both from so one of them that pops up is from 2010, February 2010. And this is like
yeah.
6 months before I started my awakening. And what my Facebook post said is, I hate fucking terrorists. And what a difference from that view until just several months later, as you decide to see what's really going on. So it's interesting to see that type of stuff sometimes. Big change. My whole life changed in 2010,
You're right about the Facebook memories. Isn't it weird? Because the other day, Facebook gave me a memory of 10 years ago as well.
Mm-hmm.
And my memory, well, not 10 years ago, 13 years ago, 2010. My memory was, let's see if I can get it up. Hang on. It was I was in Norway. I was ice driving in Norway, and I was about 35 kilograms heavier than I am now.
Yeah.
And yeah, let me see it. It's on my community page, I think. There it is. Right. Fucking hell, man. Hang on. Here we go. 13 years ago.
Oh, wow.
I weighed about 90. All right, maybe it's not 35. I haven't lost 35 kilos, but I weighed about 95 kilos
Yeah.
in this picture. I was eating well then, man. They called me the dustbin. 'Cause we were going out to dinner, like for 3 months. We were going out to dinner, and whatever was left on the table, whatever food was left on anybody's plates, I ate.
Yeah.
I just
That's
ate
like Ted. Ted does that.
everything.
Yeah, same thing. No leftovers. The dog gets nothing. Ted eats everything. That's
Yeah.
funny. That's funny.
So, have you? Let's go into a subject a bit more, like Mandela effect.
Sure.
How have you been staying up to date with Mandela effect? With the, are
Oh
you
yeah.
still?
Oh yeah. Of course. I mean, this is what I talk about the most because for me, it's the biggest thing I've seen happen yet. It's not the be all end all of truth. None of these things are, but for me, it's the most profound thing that I've ever seen. Physical matter being able to change all retroactively, all the way back to its origin point.
Words in books that were printed 200 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. Things in people's personal possession. So it throws the whole, you know, it's really all it really is it's we're finally starting to realize how this reality actually works. That's what the Mandela effect is. They'll try and paint it like it's just companies changing names and all this, but there's as we know, geography changes, anatomy changes, Bible changes, like you were just saying. I mean, what I do is I walk up to people on the street and I question them on these things. I don't give them multiple choices. I don't give them answers. I don't put an image in their head. And time and time and time and time again, I prove that everybody is experiencing this, especially if I see people preaching. I did it the other day, like not even a week ago. I was downtown and there were 3 ladies out there with a sign that said free Bible course. I'm like, here we go. I'm going to my car and getting my spy glasses, I come over, I record it. It's on my channel. And I start talking to them and asking them how familiar they are with the scripture and everything. One woman told me she became a Jehovah's Witness in the 1961. So we're talking 60 years of Bible knowledge and blah blah blah. So then I got into I have to play it at a certain pace with them. Like, oh, I was talking to a friend of mine and he told me something really profound. Sounded really profound to me about something in the book of Isaiah about an animal, lion with the lamb, an animal that with the lamb, and they told me it was a lion, of course. And I said, what does it symbolize? And they told me how, the 1,000 years of millennial reign and all this. And then I had to tell them, the matter of fact is now it's the wolf. What if, and I couldn't get them to open their physical Bible that was sitting right there. So they're checking it online. And I'm like, it's not just online. Can you please open your Bible that's sitting right there? Then they just went into the defend the word mode. And well, if God said this, and I started to tell her about all the I said to her, what's interesting is you told me lion, and everything around the world, every person I've ever asked, I can approach 100 people, all the architecture, monuments, all the songs that are done, churches that are named after the lion and the lamb, that would all agree. And she literally said, well, that must be why everybody is saying lion, because of all of that stuff. And, can't challenge God.
People do mental gymnastics, don't they, to try to get over their cognitive dissonance. That it's just not, it's like the biggest one for me is the Lord's prayers, mate. The Lord's prayer is the biggest one for me.
Yeah, it's gigantic. Tell people about it. That's a huge one, and I can add a story to that at the end when you're done.
It's so I went to private preparatory school for 4 years, and I was in the choir, and we had the King James Bible, and we'd read every day in assembly. We'd read the Lord's Prayer, and I still know it to heart today, and it's now I lay me down to sleep. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. When somebody said, I heard somebody reciting the Lord's Prayer, and they said, forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. What? Sorry? Forgive us our debts? Hey? When did this turn into a financial thing? Like, what? No, it's trespasses. and trespassers. I don't, and then you check, and it's in the, it's in a King James Bible that was printed in 1920 something, and it says debts and debtors, and I'm like, how does that happen? The best thing about the Mandela effect is what it's I think you said it as well. Like when you realised the Mandela effect was happening, it was a real thing. Suddenly, nothing's really that scary anymore.
No, not
It's
at
like, ah, so none of this is actually really real, or if it is real, it can be changed. It's not. There's definite supernatural is real. Otherwise, how do you explain the words in the Bible changing, physical words in the Bible changing in scriptures? I'd
Yeah.
like to go back to the original scriptures. I'd like to be able to understand Aramaic, and Hebrew, and be able to read the scriptures and know if it's changed at all in the
It
scriptures.
has. It has, and on many of these we have gone back, and other people that cover the Bible changes much deeper than me, and some of them can, speak these other languages and whatnot. But you can go back, like, so for instance, Matthew 18:20 is one I approach people with all the time, because I think that's just as profound as the lion and the lamb.
Mm.
Because it happened just before the thing rolled out of the last 3 years. If people aren't familiar with Matthew 18:20, I'll let the chat fill in the blank. Go by what you always remembered. Where two or, and then you guys fill in the rest. And I have asked pastors and preachers everywhere. I've shown everybody you could imagine in the truth movement. We've shown local pastors on video. We've shown televangelists.
It's
We've shown
funny.
people
When you quote the verse, I don't know, but as soon as you said that, I know that now. I know, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so most people would remember it. It's where two or more are gathered in my name, there I'll be in the midst.
Yes.
And different variations of the Bible have slightly different language. So some would say, where two or more are gathered, there I am. Where two or more are gathered, where two or more gather, there I am in the midst. Where two or more are gathered, there I am in the midst. Where two or more gathered, there I will be. It's all the same thing. Where two or more are gathered in every single version. Well, that changed. And that changed just before the thing of the last 3 years. And it changed to where two or three are gathered in my name, there I will be in the midst. Now, when I say changed, I just told you about these different translations. I'm not a fool. I know there's many translation changes at many different translations of the Bible. This is a universal change. This is in every version. They all say two or three. Think about what that means. So now we're two or three are gathered, the presence of God will be there. Not where two or an unlimited number. Now it's a limited gathering. And then what happened? A few months later, they started limiting gatherings. We saw a lot of Mandela effects tied into that thing that's been going on. And I'll be careful here, but one of the first things that people lost is their health privacy, right? I mean, completely out the window, right? And respect for your health choices and all this, right? So if you look back just about a year before, just like with the Matthew 18:20 changed, there's an act in America that was supposed to protect your health privacy called the HIPAA Act. And it was HIPAA was the acronym. That got Mandela affected several months or a year before the thing. And it now says HIPAA. And literally the P that's missing from the acronym was the one that stood for privacy. So the P for privacy in the HIPAA Act disappeared, and the Bible changed to limit gatherings in the presence of God, and then the thing rolled out. So there's clear warnings in Scripture from the Mandela effect of agendas in this world. Planets is in the Bible now in the King James. That was not in there. There's all sorts of stuff seeping in there. And you would think the crazy part is Matrix 6 times in there.
Unicorns.
Unicorns. Keep going, man. I mean, it's endless what's in there,
and also there's quite a key part of the it's the baptism of the Ethiopian man when he's speaking to John, I think, and John says to him, it says if you ask, for forgiveness, or you ask, I can't remember exactly what it is, but it's something. It's basically, if you accept Jesus and you ask for forgiveness, you can be baptized and there's no problem. But now it just says you just ask to be baptized. It's like you don't have to ask for forgiveness anymore or something else. It's changed like that. It's about
yeah.
Go on.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up. You don't have to ask for forgiveness because there's a lot of other famous Bible passages that have changed that kind of have to do into that category. Like, judge not lest ye be judged is now the opposite. It's now judge not lest ye be not judged. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. The golden rule is now do to others as you would have them do to you. Which is like, why would we even know the word unto? It's just like in America, there's a thing called the Gettysburg Address where Abe Lincoln supposedly made this big speech called the Gettysburg Address. And it would start out 7 years ago, our forefathers. Now that's Mandela affected. This is an old change. Now it says 7 years ago, our fathers. The only reason I knew the word forefathers was because it was in the Gettysburg Address. That's gone now. So people that say, well, why are you talking about a Bible? Most mass-produced book, people are deceived. And all. Hey, I agree with a lot of that. But it doesn't matter. What I'm talking about is something that is in your home that you can check. That's the thing with the Mandela effect. I'm not saying, hey, there was a reality shift to my uncle's graduation video in 1975. Go see if you can find the video, right? I'm talking about the Bible's changed, everything you grew up with, music, movies, art, monuments with huge implications and artwork with huge messages, like the creation of Adam, with God reaching down to Adam like this on the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel.
And now it's like this.
And now it's like this.
Before they weren't touching, and now they are, and it's down here. He's on the same level. He's on the same level as God, isn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, it's not quite a message. Trying to put man higher than God, and we should just ignore this because the Mandela effect's stupid. And who cares if the Monopoly man had a monocle, right? I mean, that's what people will say, and it's like, dude, all that's changing too, and that's profound because I know the Monopoly man had a monocle. This is something you can check. Many people still have their old board
George
game.
had a tail.
Yeah, go check it. Go pull out your Monopoly game. Go pull out your fucking Bible off the shelf and see if I'm lying. And I don't care what belief paradigm you fall into. I'm in the deal with the reality of the situation paradigm. That's where I'm at. So whether you think man wrote the Bible or God sat down himself with a fountain pen and wrote it, or AI wrote it, or a dog wrote it, or whatever you think it came from, right? The matter of the fact is the words in it have changed, and I can prove it over and over and do prove it over and over with damn near 100% success rate on every change I present to these people that are in the street waving their Bibles. Every Uber I hop in, every Lyft I get in, I question people on these things. Down the line, they have the same memories as us. We're not misremembering. And by the way, what the people don't even realize, because all they do is read disinfo articles on the Mandela effect and tell us it's fake because it's been addressed in the media. It's been misrepresented in the media. They'll address 9/11 in the media. They'll address Rona in the media. They'll address flat earth and they'll address all these things in the media, but it's always misrepresented. They do the same thing with the Mandela effect. Why would you think it's any different? Why don't they ever tell you that there's physical evidence for all these changes? Like, I'm talking hundreds of years of newspaper articles, thousands of years of books, endless parodies and skits. I can show the words coming out the mouths of the people that actually said the lines in some cases, saying it the wrong way later on in interviews, like Sally Fields, like Tom Hanks, like Ed McMahon doing a rap song talking about going back to people's houses to collect back the giant check he gave him. But in this reality, he never gave him a giant check.
And Darth Vader, Luke, I am your father.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, the way I felt about it when I was first seeing it, like, for me, technically, I was first having Mandela effects in 2001 after I came out of my coma. That's when the whole universe changed for me. People were different.
Did you say 2001? Very interesting, because
just before 9/11.
I don't want to go on too long. I want you to get your story in, but just keep it in mind that how when you realize the Mandela effect is, 2015, 2016, whatever, then you look back later on and you're like, oh, that was my first Mandela effect was right around 2000, 2001. Now looking back, and we're going to talk about synchronicities. Remind me later when we get into synchronicities, because I have a synchronicity with that happened recently. But go ahead. 2001.
No. Well, yeah, dude, you carry on, man, because this is to talk about you. Everybody knows about me, so you carry on. Talk
Well,
about the synchronicity.
so I believe that many of us are here for a purpose, you know, like, and the creator is using us as like
Yeah.
pieces on the chessboard of this game of life, if you will, however you want to look at it, and we're being guided. And many times these things keep happening, and these situations that present themselves in front of me, it's like, wow, this is totally here for me to wake up all these people that are around me right now in the physical. One of them is to do with King Tut, which we can talk about, but Kurt Hennig, you know, my favorite wrestler growing up, not my favorite, Macho Man and Hulk Hogan were my favorite. Probably my third favorite wrestler growing up was a guy called Mr. Perfect, and his name was Kurt Hennig. And in like 2000, 2001, I was playing a video game, and he came out, and I noticed it said Kurt Hennig instead of Henning. And I was like, well, that's really weird, you know, but you don't really put the pieces together in 2000 when something like that happens. You just kind of note it. You note it a couple more times throughout your experience. And then when I started making Mandela Effect content, you know, I'm like, holy shit. And then I started to research it in which the ways I would, and I realized I had that Mandela Effect way back then. And I was I went to go visit Steffi like December, so just a couple months ago. And I'm in a bar, and I get my first beer, and I'm gonna go to the bathroom. And as I'm walking to the bathroom, I hear this guy shouting about how Mr. Perfect was his best friend. Now Mr. Perfect's dead now. How Mr. Perfect was his best friend. And before I start this story, let me just say, of course, the guy in the bar could be bullshitting about this celebrity being his best friend, but he got into a lot of details where he at least probably grew up in the hometown and went to school with the guy and knew a lot of details. And if he wasn't really friends with them, it's a weird celebrity to pick and try and brag about at a bar and say, this guy's your best friend. Like, I really did seem that he really knew this guy and hung out with him. Yeah. But anyways, I go to the bathroom, I come back, and I'm like, okay, so this guy's shouting Mr. Perfect's his best friend. I know Mr. Perfect's name's changed from the Mandela Effect. Wouldn't it be great if I can videotape his best friend here? Which I did. It's on my channel. So I sat down and I started talking to him, and I told him how much I like Mr. Perfect as a wrestler. 4 times on that video. 4 times I asked him, just in passing, how do you spell his last name? Henning. He would tell me, like, over and over. And then after like the 4th time, I said, you know what's really strange? I said, your best friend's last name wasn't Henning. And then he just froze, and he's staring at me like this. And then like I had to then he started to go into like this defense mode of like, well, later on we went to different high schools, and like that would have anything to do with your best friend's name now never being what you knew it to be. That has absolutely nothing to do with anything, right? So I had to explain it to him. I brought my phone over to him. I said, look, let's Google Kurt Hennig right now and watch what happens. And of course, Google spell corrected it. It came up Kurt Hennig, and he was just like frozen. And then I could tell this was hitting him really hard. I had to pump the brakes a little. So I was like, let me ask you another one that's not so personal. And this is 100% of people you ask. What did the witch say in the mirror to Snow White? And of course, him and his girlfriend, mirror, mirror, without hesitation. So I explained to them, it's never been that. He's never been Kurt Hennig. It's never been mirror, mirror. And then I just gave him a couple more quick ones. And then when I asked her, and we're in California, I said, what's the most famous brand of avocados? And she said, well, Haas avocados. I said, how do you spell Haas? She said Haas, you know? And of course, that's another change. So I give her oh, you didn't know?
No. Mate, there must have been so many changes since I actually like was looking and paying attention. So yeah.
Oh, I should have played the game with you a little. Well, anyways, Haas avocados has never existed. Now it's always been Haas, Hass, a double S instead of a double A. So I had her look it up on her phone, and her mind was just blown. So you know, I moved away for a few. This guy started to get a little too drunk, and he started to get I went to talk to him again, and he started accusing me of like trying to run some sort of scam on him or something. And it's like, dude, I'm just telling you that your best friend's name was never Kurt Hennig, you know? And I'm just telling you, it's never been Merriman. And I said, you can go home and check these things. I want you to go home and check, you know? And I gave them a few more things that could probably be in the house to check. So the fact that this guy was put there in front of me to have this conversation, and he happens to be the best friend of the guy who's my first Mandela effect, that's more than coincidence to me. And then the next time I'm at that same bar, which is like a week later, right? We walk in and we're sitting down, and there's a guy that's about to go do karaoke to my right. And then there's like an L-shaped bar, and next to him, so across the L shape from me, but like right diagonal to me, is this old woman who starts saying how she has one son that she gave birth to. Just starts blurting this out at the bar. I have one son that I gave birth to, but I have 75 others that she made it sound like, she was like the mother of the neighborhood type of thing. She'd been around the block. Everybody calls her Ma or whatever. And she's like, and my favorite one, and she said his name, his first and his last name, and his last name's Haas. And then Steffi's like, Haas, like the avocado? And the lady's like, yeah. And sometimes you got to pick your spots. I didn't get into it deeper with her right there, but that's at the same place. Just by chance, these names just keep coming at me. And there's a whole story with King Tut that we can get into too, which is a little wild if you want.
Yeah, definitely.
So how I've been with trying to open eyes to the Mandela effect within other communities. It's been kind of a really uphill battle for me, as you've probably seen. Many, very surprisingly, so many people, even in like the flat Earth community, deny the Mandela effect, it's very mind-boggling to me. I don't know how you can get to that deep of understanding of the deceptions of this reality, but not take it to the next level. It's really weird to me.
It's almost like, then so you're not actually waking up. You're still, it's the people that like it's the truth no matter what, man. That's all I want. I don't care what it is, really. I just want the truth. I'm not stuck to a paradigm. I'm not emotionally attached to any paradigms. I just want the truth, whatever that is. But there's a lot of people that there's still this fear, like, wow, if it's not that, then I can't deal with that. It's too much. Or thinking about the Mandela effect. Maybe it just is too much for people to fully accept that. Hey, listen, literally, reality is not what you think it is. That what we're seeing, what's going on, none of this is what you think it is. Because if it was, how is it possible for these changes to have taken place?
Yeah,
they can't have taken place.
Yeah, and they know. Most of these people know. There are people that legitimately don't understand. I'm not out here calling everybody a liar, and I'm not trying to cause any trouble. But this is just my opinion. I'm very vocal about it. I think 8 out of 10 people that have been around the block for a couple of years and make content, they know that this is real. And for whatever their motives are, they aren't admitting it to people, whether it's fear, whether it's ulterior motivations, money, status, or whatever. You can throw in, or intentional gatekeeper. You can throw all these things in there. It's very strange to me. Especially when I made it my goal for a few years to continually point out how affected all these people are. And that's not an insult. Mate, I'm just showing you're going through what we're going through. I'm trying to show your followers. And by the way, here's a bunch of physical evidence that backs it up, and we all agree with you. Like, I'm not calling anybody stupid. But anyways, the reason I bring that up is because while I'm at events and stuff, I try and bring it up soft to people. So while I'm at the Flat Earth events and I walk around with my camera and do live streams, what people would always see me do outside, would be like, hey, what's your favorite flat Earth proof and biggest Mandela effect? And see what answers I get, see who's really connecting dots and just see what interests people. And the participation of that it's really gone up, and a lot of people are starting to realize this now. But so I'm basically that guy that's trying to, open people's eyes to more things. And these situations keep happening when I'm out with a group of flat earthers that are just amazing. So we had a meetup in Charlotte. And a lot of these guys are on board with the Mandela effect, but there's always some that, that's stupid. And, the Earth's flat. That's all we need to know type of crowd. There's a whole bunch of those people, So I'm at a meetup in Charlotte, and we're in a bar. This is last summer. Okay. Like near the end of the summer. Okay. And we're in a bar, and the theme of the bar is like, they have all these records hanging up, like 45 inch records all over the ceiling and the walls. That's the theme.
Yeah.
Now, should I present the Mandela effect of King Tut before we go on? You're familiar with it, right? Maybe the audience isn't. All right, I'm going to ask the audience.
Is it about is that the one that's
don't say
on
it
the headdress? Right, yeah.
Don't say it. Okay, so if I was to ask you guys in chat what you always remembered to be on King Tut's head on his headdress, what noticeable features, say in the forehead area, would you say were on his headdress? And I'm going to bring up an image and I'm going to ask for a screen share in a second, okay? So, screen share. Okay.
Do you want to bring it in now?
Yeah, bring it in now. You can see my folders, right? On top of a YouTube window.
Yep. There you go.
Okay, bring it in.
It's in there on the top.
Are we displaying? Yeah.
Yeah, we're displaying, dude. We're on.
Okay, so King Tut used to have a snake in the center of his head, like this. This is residue. This is what I remember.
Yep.
Cobra in the center of his forehead. Okay.
Yep.
This is a replica. This is not the real thing. But now in this reality, this is crazy.
It is crazy because it's not
King Tut.
It's got both on his head.
Yeah. So now King Tut has always had this. This is the actual King Tut headdress. However many years old. I don't trust any timelines or dates, obviously. We'll just say very, very old, okay? Now, this physical ancient artifact has nothing to do with fucking American media or companies and logos and brand changing names. This has also changed, like the creation of Adam painting on the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel. This has changed. Now, what's interesting is, I'll take this down. What's interesting is I go to this bar that I'm talking about. The theme is a bunch of 45-inch records hanging all over, and I'm with a crowd of about 10 or 15 people, you know? Like I said, most are on board, but not all of them. And I'm getting impatient with the waitress, and not her fault or anything. I'm not bad-mouthing the waitress, but I just get impatient, and the fact is I get up to go get a drink at the bar rather than waiting, right? So I get up, I walk down maybe 20 paces, and I take a right, and here's the bar. On both sides of the bar, a full 6-foot replica of King Tut with just the snake. In this random bar that has nothing to do with, like, Egypt or even any type of historical thing, has records all over the wall. Dude, giant, so I'm able to make a video and show everybody that's there, right? So this is crazy, right? And then what happens is, dude, it gets crazier than that. So anybody that's not following, you know, King Tut has always had a bird and a snake now. But I see this huge giant replica, what we call residue, with just the snake. And it's definitely King Tut. It's not another pharaoh. You can tell the differences in the facial features, the jaw lines. And you can tell when it's King Tut versus something else, okay? Then on top of that, right, so this is like the end of the summer. Then we have Flattoberfest coming up. 400 people are going to be in South Carolina for Karen's event, right? So I'm doing interview. I'm interviewing everybody. I got the camera crew with me, and I'm interviewing all the speakers on the side. And in between, I'm outside with my phone doing live streams. So I'm like nonstop. And my friend David comes up to me and he says something to me about King Tut. King Tut, you got to see this. And I kind of just, you know, I was so busy. I didn't get to it till like the end of the night. I didn't realize what he was telling me. I thought he had found like maybe a little trinket in somebody's office that was residue or something, right? So I said to him, I mean, he comes back up at the end of the night. He's like, you got to come out back with me right now. I'm like, why? He's like, dude, King Tut's like buried out back, right? We go out back, and in the back of the Flat Earth event, there's 3 huge wooden crates, like 6 feet tall, 10 feet wide, right? And one of the wooden crates, one of them has a little corner peeled back of the wood. Like somebody pried the wood back like a few inches like this on the corner of one of them. And when you look in there, there was a big head of fucking King Tut, all white like it was ceramic or stone. Just the snake buried out back of the Flat Earth event. I think it's probably still there, dude. Isn't that wild? So huge physical residue at 2 of my meetups in a row. And I'm always trying to wake people up to this. Like, it was crazy, dude. So I don't think that's an accident.
Did it help to wake up any of the flat earthers that were still, you know, on the fence or denying it? Did it actually help to wake up? You know,
I haven't got any direct correspondence from anybody that's like, hey, that's what really tipped the scale for me. Or I don't remember any conversations really stand. Now I got to say, as every year goes by, more and more people know that this is real, you know, and most of the people that are around me at that event or hang out with me at the end of the night, I mean, they're pretty much, most of them are on board and they understand that this is real. But hopefully some other people did see that video did see my videos going, showing that type of stuff, and hopefully it did. But I really don't know for sure.
Do you know what really got me was the flip flops.
Yeah.
They're quite crazy. The flip flops. Like, how many have you seen? What are the most notable ones?
The most notable flip flop for me, and I would say most people, would be Apollo 13, the movie with Tom Hanks. And the Apollo, are you familiar with that one? With the flip flop on that?
Houston, we have a problem.
Yeah, and what's very interesting is Houston, we have a problem, got Mandela affected and changed to Houston, we've had a problem in the movie, right? Now, this only lasted a couple months. So when that happened, it only lasted a couple months from when it was noticed, because I'm going to postulate that this change actually happened years before the Mandela effect community noticed. I'm going to say maybe even 4 or 5 years before, and I'll give you the reasons why. But this change happened, and then after it was noticed and the community was making videos and talking about it for a few months, it changed back to its original, Houston, we have a problem. And everybody's videos and documentation and comments literally disappeared from reality that would have proven that this was a change that changed back, except a few things. So I've done a few videos on this, and there's 3. I've had 3 so far. Huge media publications that came out with what they love. They love to do this. They love to say biggest movie misquotes of all time. You can bet your ass you're going to find a lot of Mandela effects in there. And I'm not saying movies don't get misquoted, but follow me along here. Houston, we have a problem, changes to past tense and then changes back. When it changed to past tense, here comes the cover-up. The cover-up is, hey, biggest movie misquote of all time, some of them were saying. Number 1 on the list. Houston, we have a problem. Misquote. Actual quote. Houston, we've had a problem. This came out when people noticed the change to try and dismiss it. Well, it's changed back, and 3 of those articles still remain, calling Houston, we have a problem, the biggest movie misquote of all time. But if you put it in right now, it's going to say, Houston, we have a problem. And for whatever reason, reality didn't scrub or gets lazy, and whatever reason, those 3 articles remain, even though all the truth of content was probably targeted by the Matrix or whatever it is that covers up the change. It's really interesting how it works, but we observe these type of intricacies with the Mandela effect. We've observed backstories come in incrementally, like the Ed McMahon, in this reality. So if you ask anybody what sweepstakes company Ed McMahon worked for, 99% of them, without hesitation, are going to tell you Publishers Clearinghouse. And if you were to ask them what image pops in your head about Ed McMahon, they would say him going to people's jaws with a giant check and balloon. Yeah. And now that's never happened. He worked for a different company. And even if you want to say, well, maybe I mixed up the company, but he never brought a giant check and balloons to people's doors for the other company. So how does that even work? But now what's interesting, go ahead.
I was just going to say, didn't they? Hasn't he been spoken to about it? Hasn't somebody spoken? He's dead. Now,
he's been dead. He's been dead the whole time. Yeah, he died around 2010, 2011, 2012. He's been dead for a good decade or so before this really started kicking off. But what's interesting is, so he's one of the bigger, most well-known Mandela effects. So there's a lot of people that have covered it, myself included. Definitely not the first to the game. Many people covered it before I got here. But it's been covered. And then there was how the reality changes. So you are going to find stuff that correlates with the new reality. So there's commercial with him with the other company, right? That goes back years. But there was only one. It was on YouTube. He had a blue background, and it was American Family Publishing. So, of course, what the deniers and debunkers will try and do, because they don't have any idea of how this thing works, they'll literally just Google something, find you the current reality, and show it to you. So they would come with that video. Look, it's always AFP. Look, it's always AFP, right? They never came with another video because there were no other videos. And then about 2 years later, all of a sudden, there's about 20 different commercials with him and that company spanning a fucking 15-year period, which it wasn't at first. They said 5 years and 1 year with Dick Clark. Now he's doing commercials with Dick Clark for about 15 years for the other company, and it's all retroactive. It's been in this reality for years and years. And we watch this because we and the people on the other side of the argument. It's just like the planets in the Bible thing, right? Planets are in the Bible now. They weren't before. So whether you're a globe earther or a flat earther, or you're just neutral, if you were around back in the day, you saw the discussions based on the Christian beliefs of the globe versus the flat, and they would bring up, well, there's 200 proofs in the Bible that the Earth's stationary, and then the next thing would be, well, planets isn't even in the Bible. Not one globe believer ever came back and said, what are you talking about? Planets is right here, because it wasn't in there.
The thing is, when did they actually? When was the word planet coined? Because it was always planet. That's what I thought. I thought that's where planet came from, was planet. So it can only be in the last 100 years that the word planet has existed as planet. So for it to be in the Bible, in Scripture, and for it to mean planet.
And it does. It's in the place of where the other versions still say wandering stars or constellations. It says planets. So it's definitely not out of context. That's what it means. It doesn't say Earth is a planet. It doesn't say those, but it says, the planets in the sky. And that's a word that wasn't in there. And nobody ever brought it up.
No, it was wandering stars.
And for what's interesting, for those of you that are in the flat Earth community, listen up. So there's a few guys that are, well known for talking about the Bible and biblical cosmology, right? And one was Rob Skiba, right? Rob Skiba is not with us anymore. I'm not here to say anything bad about him. I'm using Rob as an example because of his expertise in that area.
I was shocked. I was shocked when he died. I was, wow, no way.
Definitely shocking. I have, I had talked about planets in the Bible already and found a video of his. And in this video of his, he's teaching biblical cosmology to people, and he's literally trying to teach them that the Earth is flat based on what the Bible says. It's the whole point of his presentation. And he literally has a presentation behind him, a slideshow, a screen, right? And he's telling people this specifically too. The word planets doesn't even exist anywhere in Scripture. He's saying it. It's written behind him. But as we know, it's sitting right there in the KJV now and always has been in this reality. And, me and him had it out over that. And he said, well, it got in there at some point later on somehow. But, dude, it's in your own Bible at your house. I mean, it's in everybody's. It doesn't have to leave your house. Planets is in there now. It didn't get in there later somewhere. It's retroactively in there now, all the way back, And so this is my thing. The reason I brought up, I don't want to go on about this because it's probably in bad taste because he's not here. But, the reason I brought up Rob, the same reason I bring up preachers on the street, like I'm literally asking people on things that's literally their subject of expertise. Their subject of expertise. Do you guys think Rob was lying when he said planets aren't in Scripture? I don't think he was lying at all. It wasn't.
I just wonder where he's standing it now. It's a shame he's not here to be able to say, "Hey, Rob, what do you think about this?" I wonder what you think about it.
Oh, he didn't want anything to do with that conversation. I mean, there was a whole bunch that blew up all over Facebook, and he was on video before saying he remembered the Lion and the Lamb. But he went out and bashed the Mandela effect, like most people do. They bash the Mandela effect, and it's really like, man, you guys are.
That's when we think, oh right, so you're a gatekeeper then.
That's why I made videos like that, and people might get upset. And I don't, not out here using names on people and stuff, but it's like I felt for years like I've been gatekeeped by so many people in the so-called truth community. If you know that these changes are happening. And no matter what your reasons are, you're lying to people, telling them it's stupid, and you're lying to them and yourself, you're fucking gatekeeping. And you're gatekeeping one of the biggest and most profound things that's ever happened in the history of humanity.
Even if you don't realize that that's what you're doing, like basically what's happening is your ego is not letting you let go of whatever it was that whatever it is that you're holding on to, or that you'd need to let go of to accept this reality. It's like, I mean, I've got a bit of an issue with the label Flat Earth. I think it's created another paradigm because people are trying to, in order to actually define something. You need to be able to say what the set parameters are of it. So to say this is a flat Earth, for me to fully accept that this is a flat Earth, then all these other questions of, well, then if it's a flat Earth, what's outside? How's it work? The Flat Earth Society's explanation, who I had somebody actually come back at me with this, saying this is why flat earthers, globe deniers are stupid, because they think that that gravity is created by the earth constantly moving up. And I'm like, really? Did you just use that argument? Well, you just used the argument that was put in there by the very people that have been, they've been taken over by the Flat Earth Society. Has got nothing to do with trying to find the truth. They're trying to keep people stuck in a paradigm.
And that's what I find with more than just the Flat Earth Society, though. I find it with a lot of the community. Every community has its good and its bads. But the thing that I've seen is I've seen a lot of weird ego in the community when it comes to flat Earth. A lot of people that think they've reached some sort of finish line. And then, dude, it's almost like, and I've said this the other day in my live stream, it almost seems like there's been some sort of fucking backdoor fucking agreement between a lot of these large channels to never discuss the Mandela effect. I know that they see it. And people can try and mock and ridicule me. I'm the one that's fucking speaking the truth. You guys are hiding reality. And for those of you listening that legitimately think it's a psyop, I'm not talking to you, so don't worry. But that's just because you haven't done any fucking research, and you're just as bad as the people that are promoting the fake NASA shit and refusing to look and just burying your head in your sand. Because, Richie, one thing I learned, man, on this journey, particularly over the last several years, trust your senses, your observations, and your experience. And then when it comes to the Mandela effect, the truth community wants you to go back to the Matrix and ignore all of that. They act like we don't have any evidence. Like, I have so much evidence of this, it's fucking oozing out of me. Like, what do you mean? I ask people how to do these things.
I don't need evidence, man. I remember. I know what I remember. Because things like, so RT brought it up. That's one of the biggest ones for me, RT. Dolly's missing braces. It's not just missing braces. Dolly is now wearing a completely different outfit. Dolly's now got a beautiful white dress on with quite a lot of cleavage. You can see she's like stacked quite nicely. She's gorgeous. She's got no glasses on. She's got no braces. She is a stunner. That is not Dolly. Dolly had braces and was wearing dungarees and was wearing glasses and looked like maybe she would have looked good after a Ricky Lake makeover, maybe, but she wasn't. She was a geeky, nerdy looking girl. That was the whole point. But her and Jaws had the connection. He smiled. He had metal teeth, and she smiled back at him with metal teeth, and that was their connection. That's why they went off into the sunset arm in arm. And now it's this really hot blonde chick with her titties out. Doesn't make any sense. Why they'd have a connection, There's no that thing is, and the thing is, I connected to it when I watched it back in the 80s, whenever it was. When I watched it, or 90s, I was wearing braces. It was in the 90s, in the mid 90s when I watched it, and I was wearing braces, and so I could connect with Dolly. Because like, oh look, she's got fixed braces. Yeah, I'm wearing fixed braces, rather than the plate, the plate brace that goes up, and you got a plate that goes up into the roof of the mouth, and you can take it out, a removable retainer. Americans call them a retainer, don't they? Yeah, not a retainer. This was a fixed brace. It was bloody horrible. So that was one of the biggest ones for me. I don't need to see proof of residue or anything, because I know what I fucking saw, and I know why I connected with it. Now there's no connection between me and Dolly. And if Dolly had been looking like that back when I saw her, I would have been, it wouldn't just be this head remembering it. This one would remember it as well. Because this one would go, oi, hey, whoa, look at that cleavage, There was no cleavage back in bloody when I saw it the first time. She didn't have a cleavage. She had a shirt buttoned up to the top with fucking dungarees. I don't know if everybody remembers the dungarees.
Yeah. See, I never saw the movie, but I'm very familiar with the change, obviously, and that's a huge one for so many people. And what's interesting too is like I have a little saying: the Dolly's braces crowd. The Dolly's braces crowd is like the people who know the moon landing's fake, but they won't go any further. You guys are just like that. You people that know that you'll admit that. Well, I know that Dolly had braces, but never go any further. Believe me, there's a big crowd of these people. They'll say, "Oh, I know Dolly had braces," and then they won't go any further. It's like, well, your reality's changing, and it's not just Dolly's braces. So, it's time to do some real investigation here. At
Honestly,
least stop gaslighting us. Stop trying to gaslight people like me and act like we're retarded. We're actually the ones that are being honest. We're the observant ones. And we've done, it's 2023. How can people not know that this is real by now? It's 2023, dude.
I know. I know. How much faster has time been going? Not just that, right? We're in 2023 and it's February. We're approaching March rapidly. March is just around the corner. It's the 23rd of February tomorrow. Yep. In 6 months, I'm going to be 46 years old, for fuck's sake. My birthday was only a couple of weeks ago. I was 45 a couple of weeks ago. I only turned 40 a couple of months ago, for God's sake. Time's just going bang, 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 bang. What I like about that, though, is that in Scripture, it says that the days will be shortened. Like, for the people that are chosen, whatever, the days will be shortened, so they won't have to endure the shit for too long, basically.
Yeah.
And I feel so. Dude, I don't know how much you know about my take on what's going on, as in the meaning of life, like, and how they've taken control of everything here. It's all through perception. That's exactly how they've done it. They've stolen our perception, because our perception's the key to reality. So that's why I tried to start that hashtag we write reality, hashtag rewrite reality, because we're the ones that decide what reality is going to be. We're the ones that go along with it. We agree with it and we go along with it. The only reason that the things exist the way they do now is because for the last 45 years that I've been alive, everybody's just been going along with it.
Yep.
Accepting what they've been told. And, oh, right, okay, so I have to, so I give you my money and I have to pay you to give you my money. And when I've given you to the bank, when I've given you my money, it's actually not my money anymore. I give you my money on an unsecured loan, and then it's not my money, it's your money. And there's no recourse for me to get it back. You have to give it back to me, when I ask for it. But if I ask for too much, you don't like how much I'm asking for, what am I spending it on?
Yep.
Excuse me? What am I spending it? It's my fucking... What business is it of yours, Mr. Banker, what I'm spending my money on? If I want to go and spend it on a fucking car, or if I want to go and spend it on whatever it is, what difference is it? But that's just, everybody just go, no, but that's just the way it is, isn't it? That's just the way it is. That's how things operate. Yeah, but only because you go along with it. Only because you won't stand up and say, no, fuck off. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not playing this game anymore. Everybody knows it's a game. Everybody knows it's a rat race. Everybody knows they're getting fleeced. Everybody knows that politicians lie. Everybody knows that politicians are pathological, compulsive liars. And yet we let them run our fucking countries. We let them run our countries and dictate what we're going to do with our lives and how we are to conduct ourselves. And we let them do.
Dude, everybody's a coward. You look how many businesses just rolled over 3 years ago when they didn't even have to. I found a section, and I'll be careful here, but I found a section in called Huntington Beach in California where I went there because there was a restaurant after several months in, wasn't playing any of the game. So we drove 2 hours just to go there and experience that, because we have to keep talking people down. And me and Steffi weren't playing any of that shit. But then when we get out there, we realize there's a whole bunch of other businesses all by the beach that never shut their doors, never limited their hours, never did any of the whatever guidelines or whatever. And nothing happened to them. Nobody shut their water off. Nobody shut their power off. And I'm not saying that didn't happen anywhere, but 99% of people that stood up were fine. And if everybody would have just said no, it would have never even rolled forward like that. And the idea that people would just shut their businesses down off of mere suggestion and bankrupt themselves, because some of these businesses never made it back. That's crazy. That's crazy to me. And that's why, even though I was kind of railing on it early and how there's a lot of ego in some of the communities. I mean, some of these truths, they are huge truths though. Like the globe deception is a huge one, because when they hit you with that when you're little, what happens is you grow up thinking that, the earth's spinning and I can't feel it, but that's okay. The sun looks like it moves above us, but it's us falling backwards and going around the sun and all this, but that's okay, because people smarter than me have figured it out. The scientists haven't figured it out. If we were being lied to about this, the media would expose it. Do you see? And then it's a trap for your mental, all the way. It's a corruption of your senses all the way down the line, and to accept everything. Like they tell us, people are dropping in the streets, but we don't see any of that, and we go to places to film and they're empty, and you know where I'm going with this. Like, it goes completely, what they're telling you on the screen is completely against your reality. Well, a total 180 of it, but you still accept it because you trust the people you've been brought up to idolize. If they wear a lab coat or if they're on TV with a 3-piece suit, you're supposed to idolize those people. They're smarter than you. They haven't figured out. Anybody listen to the stream, let me ask you, look around when you go out anywhere. How many people do you think are really smarter than you out there? I look around. I don't see too many people that I think are on my level, to be frank.
Dude, I don't want to be, some conceited, arrogant prick that thinks he's the most intelligent man in the room. But it does feel like around, not in this room, but in the 3-dimensional world, it does feel like they're all just autonomous robots. They're just running their programs, and they can't deal with anything else. They can't think. They can't think for themselves. It's impossible. Critical thinking, independent critical thinking doesn't exist at all. They go with whatever they saw on the news and whatever they saw, in the newspaper, on the mainstream news, and even the ones, like, I thought that there were going to be people that I could count on here in the area. There's a guy that I know. He's a cage fighter, or he was a cage fighter until he had 3 kids, and then he put a lot of weight on. But I thought I could be able to count on him. I thought, he seemed switched on. He was woke. He seemed like he was awake. I found him about 6 months in, and I had to have it though, didn't I? I had to have it. I had to. I'm all fully boosted. I've had it. Yeah, I had to, because I had to go back to England, and it's like, dude, but it. Yeah, I know it's bullshit. But, I had to have it.
I have an uncle that lives in California that, every once in a while would watch the show. And me and Steffi went and visited him and his girlfriend, and we were talking about all the nonsense that was going on around us. And he knew that, it was fabrication 100% and all this. And then a few months later, well, maybe a year later, he's hitting me up to see if I know any way to get fake V passports. No, not passports, fake, cards to say that he had it, because he needs to go on a cruise. And I got the vibe from him that if he doesn't get this fake card, he's going to go and actually get the thing, because he needs to go on the cruise that bad. And it's just like, wow, you need to make some choices in your life. And if you can't wait it out until that restriction is gone and you need to go on a cruise that bad, you really need to reflect in the mirror. That this is nonsense. You know that it's nonsense. And you're going to go put that in you to get on a cruise ship and take a holiday?
Yeah. I know more than one person that had it just so they could go and have their holiday. They, to go and have their 2 weeks in France, or 2 weeks here in Tenerife, because they mandated it. They wouldn't let anybody in unless they'd had it. Mate, I don't know.
I saw one guy that you know, and I'm just trying to be careful. That's why it's taking me a few pauses here. I saw one guy that I used to talk to about that thing in September, way back when I was just freshly out of being a normie, and I was just a year or two into this, and I'm trying to show all these people before I realized nobody wants to hear it, right? But he used to sit there at my apartment, and he used to be one of the ones that was kind of receptive, and he would hear me out for 20 or 30 minutes, even getting into the media fakery and all of it. And he never really like said that he believed me or didn't, but he was always listening. And I thought every once in a while he might be the type of guy to peek in on my work. And then, I see like a year ago, he literally made this post. I did it. I let the media scam me enough, and I went and got and I'm just like, what kind of post is that? So you know that the media is promoting the fear into you. So you went and got it, and you're recognizing that's what you did, and you're posting about it? Like, what the fuck is going on in your head?
Crazy, isn't it? It's crazy.
Crazy, dude. And I hope he's well, and I hope everybody's well. But the matter of the fact is, all of us that don't play that game, I mean, you've seen we've had 400 people 4 times at these events and all the other stuff in between, and all my we're all fine. I haven't had to pick any of you guys up off the floor. I can't say that for the other side. I've had to personally pick somebody up off the floor because they had just done that the day before to themselves.
I will say, I know that Crystal Shaman had a very close call, and she hasn't had anything. She hasn't had any arm intrusion or anything, and so she knows that there is definitely a sickness out there that is potentially life-threatening, because she had it, she caught it, and she nearly died. She was she was in hospital, and it hit her really bad. So this is this is the thing. I don't know how it goes around or how it's transmitted. There's definitely, or exactly what it is, right? I know what it definitely isn't, but I'm not sure what it is. But there's something. I was boasting about how for 5 years I hadn't been sick, and I hadn't been sick for 5 years. This year I got sick twice, and it lasted for like 8 or 9 days, and I was. Both times when it happened, I was thinking to myself, "Rah, if I didn't know what I know, and if I didn't feel the way I feel, I'd be phoning an ambulance right now. I'd be getting taken to hospital." But
here's the thing, though. For while they said all this was at high peak, we didn't see anything going on at these facilities. We're in there. There's nothing going on. Nobody's coming in. They're telling you it's overflowing. And this wasn't just for a few weeks. This went on for several months, and damn near a year and a half. You didn't hear any ambulances. Let me postulate this idea to you. Let's say you were really sick for like a week, and let's say it was even something that you've never felt that type of sickness before, type of thing, right? Isn't it possible that this thing would be multifaceted, and maybe they would change the mixture of the chemtrails or what they're putting in the water, or something to coincide with the psyop where they're trying to scare people into thinking that they're
I think it's a frequency thing. Personally, I think
there you go. It could be that too. And all I'm saying is those things could all come into play, but still, we didn't see that huge spike through the first like whole year of this thing where they said it was going on. So I think if there were people that got sick in a different way, I think those numbers are very small. But I have spoken to other people that have said this. There could be other things that are going on to contribute to that for sure.
I think it's very definite, because they're absolutely spraying stuff in the sky. I think it's definitely a possibility. Like this nanobot thing, nanoparticles and graphene and stuff. I think it is possible that there are things collecting in our bodies. Those of us that are aware of how amazing we are, and how the body is designed specifically to get rid of that sort of crap. It doesn't actually need, we can take care of ourselves. We have an immune system. When you're fully aware of that, these things get dealt with, and you purge them out. You purge them out through, phlegm, and you have aching muscles, and you have a fever. When you have a fever, like all right, don't let it get too high, but don't be too quick to get rid of it either, because that fever's doing something good. It's destroying things it's destroying bacteria, whatever, in your body that can't deal with temperatures like that. But you can, because you're amazing. You're a living being, a living man or woman. I want to stop saying human because of the corporate entity connection. You're a living man or woman. So these, like, the big thing for me is headaches. That's what I suffer with the most, is headaches, and they go here in the back of my head. And I tell you what, dude, I'm not kidding. It feels like somebody's cooking the back of my head. And if I hold my hand here, not now, I feel fine now, but when I'm experiencing it, if I hold my hand just near my skull, I can feel the heat just like pulsing off the back of my head, and it's just the back of my head is on fire, and it turns into a migraine, and I vomit, and then I try to go to sleep. I sleep, and then when I wake up, normally I feel okay. But it's somebody was saying to me that it's that these nanobots are going into, they're trying to get up into my hippocampus or something. They're trying to get up here, and maybe that all it is just it's my body dealing with that. That's what the pain is. It's just my body's dealing with that, and it's never anything to worry about. That's what always goes through my head is, yeah, dude, you just ride it out. Ride it out. Just ride it out. You'll be okay. It's not going to kill you. Just ride it out.
Yeah.
Walk it off.
So I think definitely something else maybe have been going on. Plus, again, if it was what they say, even if it wasn't as bad as what they say, but if it was any way transmitted in the ways that they say, I should be dead. So should so many people that I've come in contact with, and none of the things that they put in place make sense. As far as you go to a restaurant, you cover your face.
There's no science behind it. They've admitted there's no science behind that. The 6 feet thing, the only science behind that I can see is that that's actually our energy field. 6 feet. If you stand within 6 feet of somebody, you're picking up on their frequency, on their energy, on their electromagnet, whatever they're putting out, you're picking up on that. And it was just a way to disconnect us more.
Yeah.
That was the science behind that. It wasn't anything about, because I mean, at the end of the day, why did you wear a mask? Well, to stop the spittle going out. Well, I mean, Jesus, when you talk, spit doesn't go that far. It doesn't go 6 feet when you're talking to somebody. I wouldn't really want to be talking to anybody that spat 6 feet while they were talking. It's like, whoa, Michael Heseltine, mate. This is a exciting time to be alive. I think I've never been more grateful. I'm always grateful to be alive now. There's never been a better time to be alive, I think, than right now.
Yeah, I like experiencing all of this wildness, I mean, it is, I'm glad I'm here for it. And even if it's nowhere near the numbers that we'd like, I'm glad that we're able to help people get through some of these things and realize some of these deceptions, because they're not going to get it from any of the official sources. So
the thing is,
go ahead.
If we were getting the numbers that we think that, I don't know, it's not that we deserve, it's just like we would like the entire earth to know what we're talking about. We'd want 7 billion people to watch, not because we want to be seen by 7 billion people, because we just want 7 billion people to be focused on it and to think about it and to talk about it, because then maybe we can fix it. Maybe if 7 billion people realize that there's 7 billion of us and there's only about 50,000 of them. So, who's got the power? Who is it that's got the power again? Well, these silly little these silly little men in offices, like with loads of money. They've got all the power, have they? No, I don't think so. I've lost my point. I was going somewhere. Profound with that, man.
Well, I had mentioned to you what brought you to that point is like I'm glad I'm able to be here and help people let go of some of the
That's
deception.
what I was going to say. Right. If we were reaching millions of people, if we had millions of subscribers, right, on YouTube, we wouldn't have these really nice, intimate communities that we have, and we have, we build up close relationships with some of our subscribers on a obviously on an internet basis, but some people that live in the same country, they get to meet up and stuff. Like I said, I've got about 4 or 5 of my subscribers that have basically been keeping me alive since August 21st, August 2021, when I lost my job because I wouldn't go back to the UK and get a jab. And and since then, all this complication. They're being absolute bastards. They're not giving me what I'm entitled to, which is citizenship, residencia, because I've been here for 8 years. They're not going to give that to me because no, you have to go back to the UK and get a visa. Like, anyway, I think I'm just tired, mate, because I've been streaming for about, this is what, an hour and 20 minutes, and I was streaming for about 5.5 hours earlier. I went live about 9 o'clock in the morning, and
Oh wow.
I was streaming till 1:30 or something. So yeah, I think my brain's just stopped. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, dude. I really,
Yeah.
really appreciate having you on the channel. I mean, I've got 71 people here still watching. We've had around 70, around the 70 mark for the last sort of half an hour or so. So it's been a massive boost to my channel, and I really appreciate that, man. What are your plans next? What's the next meetup thing that you've got going
on? Probably in 2 months, commercial sound and video. Nathan is going to throw a meetup in Georgia in the Atlanta area. It's not my meetup, but I'm going to go there and help promote it. And as far as in between, trying to sort out all the stuff. Right, I'm in the middle of finally looking like I'm going to have the stuff sorted out with my license and my car and everything. So I'm trying to just focus. Literally focused on that once I get off the stream with you today. So I'm going to be laying low for a few weeks. I might do something next month, but definitely nothing for the next several weeks. I'm kind of strapped for cash and strapped for time right now, and I need to focus on getting that handled. And I'm like this close to having it finished. So
Hippie Shake is awesome. We love Hippie Shake. All us creators love Hippie Shake because she's always there, popping up the links, as and when. And I'm trying to show it. Come on, it's taking ages. I am showing the comment. Hippie Shake's shared your channel, so please, guys, go and sub if you haven't already. Go and sub to Brian's channel, and yeah.
Cool, man. Thanks for having me on, dude. We can do it again whenever. Hit me up
mate.
again.
I'm up for doing it because I've got bags of time. I've got bags and bags and bags of time. If time is money, I'm wealthy. I've got just tons of it, and I'm generous with it as well. I don't, it's like, dude, any opportunity that I've got to connect with people that can have real conversations about things, and we can toss ideas back and forth, and we can, that's what we're meant to be doing. We're meant to be sharing our perceptions, sharing our insights, sharing our and hey, I've got an insight. You find you've got two different insights about the same thing, and it helps it make even more sense. And that we've all got built different parts of the puzzle, man. We just got to share what we know, or share what we feel we know.
Yep, absolutely, man. Well, thank you, man. I appreciate it, dude. Good show.
Thank you, dude. Thank you very much. Thank you for the chat room. Shout out to everybody. I'd go through and name everybody. It's going to take me ages though. Leafy, Just JP, Kate Emma, Jolly Man, Rico's Tinfoil Sombrero, No, Callum, Sue Finelli, TW, Philip Backer. I don't know if you recognize some of these names. NH Guy, Tom Tell the Truth, Hippie Shake, obviously. Thank you, Hippie, for all your help, babe. You're awesome. Anne Gaynor, Emma Bees. Yeah, I think that's about everybody that's chatting that I can see here. Jason Starr, RT. I apologise if I've missed you guys. If you've been chatting and I mentioned you, I do apologise. Creating a Homestead. Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for joining me and Brian. And we'll do this again soon.
Oh, he froze on my screen. Maybe it ended. All right. Well, thank you, everybody.